WWE plans were changed by the Saudi Arabian partners. We'll have more on that in a moment. Plus, a major international name has been added to TNA Bound For Glory, and is Logan Paul entering the BLOODLINE Saga. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. So we're coming up on WWE Crown Jewel, emanating from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where the first ever Crown Jewel champion will be crowned. Look at that lovely bit of a jazzle. On the wrestling mat, hosted by former WWE presenter Matt Camp, he revealed that the partners in Saudi Arabia have played a role in a recent Crown Jewel or Saudi Arabian-based event.
He did, and it's very interesting. But just before that, I made a creaky noise with my chair, and it sounded like I'd farted. And I did. If that came through, I'd just like to clarify.
Me think you
I can't get it to do it now, obviously.
No,
yeah,
obviously
course,
not.
yeah.
Me think you doth protest too much.
Matt Camp did say the following: when they did Night of Champions last year and Seth won the World Heavyweight Championship, that was supposed to be, from what I was told, a King and Queen of the Ring tournament. They were bringing it back, and for whatever reason, it wasn't, quote, big enough, and instead we got Night of Champions and we got Seth winning the World Championship. I'm not going to say that wasn't the plan, but they definitely wanted to make it more, make the Saudi show more, and that was, from what I was told, a Saudi insistence, if you will. Let's call it that. So we got AJ and Seth, and we had the world title and all that stuff. I don't know if it's because of who was going to be in King and Queen of the Ring or whatever it was, but there was a pivot there. So that has happened before.
I think you've all heard the story for that Battle Royal, of course, the greatest Royal Rumble Matt Camp recounts. They wanted wrestlers who were deceased. They couldn't get Yokozuna, so they got that random sumo guy, to quote Matt Camp, Hirokasumi. Yeah. So that has happened before, and that kind of stuff has happened since. So, I mean, we've always suspected for a while that their partners in Saudi Arabia would have some kind of say in terms of what goes on in and around those shows. Not to a massive extent, but certainly to some extent.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting because it's an instance of, well, it's Matt Camp implying at least, that because of the Saudi shows and the potential demands of the Saudi partners to WWE, they booked this title change on that show because of that. That's a direct impact on ongoing storylines. I'm not saying that Seth wouldn't have ended up winning the belt anyway at a later date, but it seems like things were rejigged to get this happening at Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia. Now, I remember in the early days of the Saudi partnership, we were talking about how the events in Saudi Arabia, they're kind of big and showy and they get all these big names in, but they're kind of non-canon. They kind of happen. But nothing happens to really advance any of the story.
Non-canonically. That was for a long time.
That seemed to change very quickly in the space of just a couple of short years, and now we're seeing the example of the opposite here. From Matt Camp. So yeah, it's interesting.
Seth Rollins becoming the first ever World Heavyweight Champion at an event based in Saudi Arabia, and now obviously the introduction of a belt that will be exclusively defended.
Did he become the inaugural champion in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, that was it.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, well. Therein lies the point.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he just won the belt from AJ, but no, you're right.
No.
It's even bigger.
Yeah, it's even bigger than one would have thought. It's almost as big as that Crown Jewel Championship. That's a big boy.
Shiny.
Moving over to TNA, bit of Bound For Glory flavored news in just a moment, but some contract news before that. It was reported quite recently that Jordan Grace's TNA deal was expected to expire in January, brought forward from the summer of next year. But another on the way out from TNA, possibly should a contract deal not be renegotiated.
Yes. It was reported that Jordan Grace's TNA contract was set to expire in January, as we said. Also confirmed that her husband's TNA deal is coming to an end. And Fightful say that Jonathan Gresham's TNA contract is set to expire in January 2025. Fightful were told that he's made good impressions in within WWE in the past as well. But Fightful have not heard if there's interest on WWE's side as of yet.
Now, recently on TNA television, they've had Jonathan Gresham utilizing the octopus ink to blind and poison his opponents. And they had a whole story with Kushida finding an antidote to the poison, things like that. I quite liked it, I must be honest. I know there's a few people I spoke to who went, that's very silly for a very serious wrestler like Jonathan Gresham. But you know what? Jonathan Gresham is an excellent wrestler.
Yeah.
I liked giving him something that gave him something quirky and something sports entertainment-y on top of being a very serious, very great wrestler.
Now, I agree to an extent, obviously. I don't want him to be, I was about to say, I'm the Octopus Man, but he is the Octopus Man.
I'm the Octopus Man.
Right, I don't want him to be like that.
Long Dennis.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting because obviously when the Jordan Grace contract story came out, I think pretty much everybody is assuming that she'll end up in WWE. She was in the Royal Rumble, she made a great impression, she's had some matches in NXT, and she seems very much like the type of ass kicker in the sort of maybe slightly Rhea Ripley mold, like, you know, a modern face of the women's division who can just batter people. It was Jonathan Gresham. It's an interesting one to see what happens with him because, as you mentioned, he's a fantastic wrestler, amazing technical ability and all that sort of stuff. Does he fit within WWE now that they're going in this more dramatic, maybe a return to like long-term storytelling over match quality and that sort of stuff?
I think he's one of those guys that if given the right story, he absolutely could.
Fair enough. I mean, he has proven that he can do the Octopus Inc. stuff, as you say.
The Octopus Man.
Yeah.
Staying with TNA, Bound for Glory on the horizon in a couple of weeks, and PW Insider have confirmed that a major international name is going to be a part of the show.
Yes, it's AAA star Vikingo, who is confirmed for Bound for Glory on the 26th of October, and will be involved in a top-flight bout at the pay-per-view in Detroit. I don't think it's confirmed yet who his opponent's going to be, or opponents, if it's a big multi-man match, but it's nice to see Vikingo emerging again, because it seems to have been a while since he's come along in the English-speaking market. He's taken a bit of a break.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he will do as part of TNA Bound for Glory, a night that will no doubt feature Joe Hendry becoming TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
Oh, don't jinx it. Why have you jinxed it like that? No.
I'm going to hold up the title.
Oh.
As a double whammy of the jinx.
I just worry that they're not going to give him it.
No, they will, because they are not silly in TNA. They're not stupid.
They might be stupid.
They're not stupid. You're not stupid.
You've got a chance to prove you're not stupid.
Yeah, that's it. And it's an easy one to prove that you're not stupid and give Joe Hendry the title. It's easy.
Yes.
You'll prove it. I have no doubt. AEW news. Let's head over to the house of Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs has been out with an injury. Reports said that he was ready to go, awaiting creative. Hobbs himself has given an update for us.
Yeah, he was a guest on In the Click podcast and told them that I ruptured my patella tendon, a pretty gruesome injury. Me being me, I've been cleared, healed up pretty fast. I've got that Wolverine serum in me a little bit. I'm cleared, I'm back. It's already been put out in the internet world that I'm cleared. It's time to pick up where I left off.
I'm sorry, we've already had too many wrestlers in AEW dress as Wolverine this year. You cannot dress as Wolverine. Oh, I'm ready for Hobbs to come back and just FS up.
Yes, I'm hugely ready for that as well. In the first video earlier on today, the first news video, we talked about Thunder Rosa's return to the ring and how I said she'd had really bad luck with injuries, and I feel exactly the same about Powerhouse Hobbs. But whenever he's fit and ready to go, he's somebody who can't fail but make an impression because he's just big and impressive.
Lots of nice people coming back to AEW. The world is healing. The world is healing. Let's head over to WWE to end on, and the Bloodline Saga rolls on SmackDown. It looks as if we're going to get the new Bloodline versus the OG Bloodline at Survivor Series War Games, but somebody else may be inserting themselves into the Bloodline storyline based on what he's been saying recently.
Yes, casting serious doubt on your world is healing theory. Logan Paul has revealed on Impulsive potential plans not only for his WWE return, but potentially being inserted into that Bloodline storyline. He was talking about Jacob Fatu and said, Jacob's a very clear rising star. He's one of the only guys that really stands out to me. I mean, you can assume that Logan's healing it up slightly in this, but also maybe it's just his own arrogance. He's one of the only guys who really stands out to me. I think everyone else sees it. While I recognize his greatness, part of me also thinks he's on my list. I will be wrestling with him in the near future, and we're going to be going at it. I sort of see him as competition. I promise you, we're going to go flipping crazy. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's inevitable. And I guess from Logan saying, I am going to have a match with Jacob in the near future, seems like he will in some way, therefore, surely be at least adjacent to the Bloodline storyline.
It feels like him saying that is more than just a manifestation. I feel like it's something that he's been told is going to happen, something that might have been part of his next steps in wrestling. So I don't know. You can't have a babyface Logan Paul going up against the heel Bloodline.
Well, no. Yeah, who? So if it's like, say, a 5-team War Games, 5-man per team, Roman and the Usos, if Jay comes around. And then who are the other two? Is it Cody and Logan? Is that the babyface team? Are they the OG Bloodline? Get those wands in the air for Prime Energy.
Oh,
Nah, it'd be good, man. It'd be good. It'd be sick. It'd be so good.
Yeah, I'm going to be sick. I make myself sick and it'll all go away. On the podcast feed right now and on our Patreon, I had a lovely chat with the voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Chris Charlton. Great to chat to Chris. Been a big fan of his work for a long time. And
Very knowledgeable.
oh my, he is a mind for it. But the question is, when you are a great wrestling historian like Chris Charlton is, the writer of the book Lions, Pride and Eggshells, what 3 wrestling matches would you choose to watch while stranded on a desert island? Or as Chris Charlton called it, a Greek circle of hell.
Okay.
We had a lovely chat. You can find out right now. It's literally gone on in the last hour or so on the podcast feed. If
It's up already?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Literally, I've just sat in there, recorded this. It's going to be ready by the time you watch this.
That's my afternoon listening sorted.
That is your afternoon delight sorted. If you're a Patreon, you can watch the video version as well. We got all new tier system waiting for you at patreon.com/Cultaholic. Are you twitching tonight?
Myself and Owen are twitching tonight, twitch.tv/Cultaholic. We are still in charge of the Birmingham Swans in the Premier League, and we're looking for our first win. And maybe we'll get it today. So we'll see how it goes, guys. I'm not optimistic.
Cross all your feathers for the Birmingham Swans tonight. Twitch.tv/Cultaholic from 6 p.m. BST. For the latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe and fly,
Fly, Swans, fly!
Oh, he's done it.
Ha ha.